Hey! Join me on a transformative journey as we explore the path to discovering one's center and connecting with the primal life force. The springtime is a moment that can echo eternally throughout our lives. Presenting the Gatha, beautiful spring breeze. Do not chase and achieve. Relax and find your center. Do not fight and sow storm. Feel the gentle spring breeze. Learn to act as if you have no time. And to relax as if there is no time. Learn to work as if rescue is needed. And to teach as if rescue is fictive. Given the profound insights contained within this Gatha, newcomers to Zen may require deeper contemplation to fully grasp its meaning. Contemplating Zen insights is always a worthwhile endeavor. Seeking explanations can often help us understand the profound wisdom that lies within. In this chapter, I will offer insights into the key concepts of Zen philosophy by elaborating on some crucial points in this poem. Let me begin by exploring the concept of the beautiful spring. In a world that is ever-changing, where decay and renewal go hand in hand, the arrival of spring is a reminder of the cyclical nature of life. As winter releases its icy grip, the life force within everything begins to stir, and the world comes alive once more. Spring is a season of rebirth and renewal, a time when everything seems possible. The harshness of winter fades away, replaced by the gentle warmth of the sun and the soft embrace of the spring breeze. The world is reborn, and with it, our spirits are rejuvenated. In the Chinese lunar calendar, spring is celebrated as a season of new beginnings. It begins in the first month of the lunar year and continues until March, with each month having its own name that aligns with the season's progression. The first month is known as early spring or Meng spring, followed by Zhong spring in the second month, and Yang spring in the third. This ancient saying accords well with the facts, as the arrival of spring marks the beginning of a new cycle of growth and renewal. The earth is alive with the sounds of chirping birds, buzzing bees, and rustling leaves, as nature bursts forth in a riot of color and activity. Now we will explore the metaphor of the spring breeze, the little idea that already includes the thunder. In the ever-changing season of spring, the elements themselves are in flux. When warm, moist air collides with cool, dry air, thunderstorms can arise. For much of the world, this usually occurs in spring and summer. Thus, whenever thunderstorms approach, one knows that spring is at hand. The sensation of this breeze is like a glimpse of a great event or a tantalizing hint of the real thing. The I Ching offers insight into this phenomenon with its 51st hexagram, Chen, or the arousing, shock, thunder. Chen represents the eldest son who takes the reins of power with vigor and strength. A yang line emerges beneath two yin lines and presses upward with force. This movement is so intense that it causes fear and trembling, much like thunder that bursts forth from the earth. This shock that comes from the manifestation of the divine within the depths of the earth can inspire fear in humanity. However, this fear of the divine is good, for it can lead to joy and celebration. When a person understands the meaning of fear and trembling within their heart, they become impervious to terror wrought by external forces. Even when thunder rolls and spreads fear for miles, one can remain composed and reverent, ensuring that the sacred rite is not interrupted. This is the spirit that should guide leaders and rulers of people, a profound inner seriousness from which all terrors can be dismissed harmlessly. This message resonates with the 34th hexagram, Ta Chuang, or the power of the great. The upper trigram, Chen, represents the arousing, the lower trigram, Chin, represents the creative. Chin is strong, while Chen brings forth movement. The unification of movement and strength creates the idea of the power of the great. This hexagram is linked with the second month of the year, March-April. Ta Chuang points to a time when inner worth surges with tremendous force and takes hold of power. Yet its strength has already surpassed the median line, and there is a danger of relying solely on one's power and forgetting what is right. There is also a risk of being too focused on movement and not waiting for the proper time. Therefore, it is important to remember that perseverance furthers Truly great power does not degenerate into mere force, but remains in harmony with the fundamental principles of justice and righteousness. Understanding that greatness and justice must be inseparably linked, we can comprehend the true meaning of all that occurs in heaven and on earth. Thunder, or electrical energy, surges upward in the spring. This movement is in accord with the heavenly direction, generating tremendous power. However, true greatness is only achieved when in harmony with what is right. Thus, in times of great power, the superior person avoids any action that goes against the established order. One reaps what one sows. The concept of karma is an ancient idea that has been deeply ingrained in Eastern philosophy and religion for centuries. It is a fundamental principle that asserts that every action has its consequences, and that we will inevitably reap what we sow. This principle is intricately connected to the idea of cause and effect, which teaches that every action we take will have a corresponding effect on our lives, both in this world and in future incarnations. When we examine the concept of karma more closely, we begin to understand the profound implications that it has for our lives. If we want to experience positive outcomes and good fortune, we must engage in positive actions and virtuous deeds. Conversely, if we engage in harmful or unethical behavior, we can expect to experience negative consequences and suffering. However, the concept of karma is not simply a matter of cause and effect. It is a skillful means of cultivating humility and an understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. It reminds us that our actions have an impact not only on ourselves, but on the world around us as well. By recognizing the consequences of our actions, we can learn to act with greater mindfulness and compassion, which can help to improve our own lives and the lives of others. Furthermore, the concept of karma serves as an antidote to the three poisons of anger, greed, and delusion. These negative emotions can lead us down a path of self-centeredness and suffering. By embracing the concept of karma, we can learn to overcome these negative tendencies and cultivate a more selfless, compassionate approach to life. Ultimately, the goal of the path is to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Once we have crossed the river and achieved enlightenment, the concept of karma is no longer necessary. However, many beings continue to follow the path even after they have attained enlightenment, as it provides a framework for living a virtuous and meaningful life. By living in accordance with the principles of karma, we can create positive change in the world and help to alleviate suffering for all beings. The aspects of no time and having no time are like brother and sister. To act is easy, but to act immediately and with full presence is difficult. It requires the cultivation of a center point from which every single action arises. This center point must be fully aligned with all things and yet empty of all things. It is at once as small as possible and as large as possible, and thus it is beyond the four possibilities. Such a center point is not easily achieved, but it is worth striving for. For when it is fully established, it is like a bell that rings instantaneously when struck. The sound that it produces is a reflection of the intensity that created it and the shape of the bell itself. The sound has no self of its own, but arises spontaneously out of the center point of the bell. To cultivate the center point is to be like the bell, to be honed through meditation and relaxation, and to be marked by the absence of contact. Like a candle that burns brightly when lit, the fully established center point will be a source of light and clarity in all of one's actions. But let us not be deceived by these metaphors, for they are only pointers that can never fully capture the essence of the thing itself. To truly understand the nature of the center point, one must taste the tea for oneself. There is a center between rescuing beings and being a passive bystander. In the Buddha's teachings, we find the metaphor of the burning house, a powerful and illuminating symbol for the nature of our existence. The Buddha once told the story of a man who owned a large mansion, with his many children playing inside. Suddenly, the mansion caught on fire and became engulfed in flames. The man stood outside, helpless, as his children were trapped inside, unable to escape. The meaning of this metaphor is multi-layered and profound. On one level, the mansion represents the world, and the flames represent the suffering that pervades our lives. The children inside represent all sentient beings, who are caught in the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, unable to escape from the flames of samsara. But the Buddha's message is not one of despair. He goes on to explain that a wise person would not stand outside the burning mansion, lamenting the loss of his possessions. Instead, he would enter the mansion and call out to his children, urging them to leave the burning building and escape the flames. This is the role of the Buddha and his teachings. He enters the burning house of our world, calling out to us to awaken from our delusions and escape the flames of suffering. He shows us the path to freedom and enlightenment, guiding us towards the ultimate goal of nirvana. But even as we strive towards this goal, it's important to recognize that the burning house is ultimately an illusion. The flames of suffering and the cycle of birth and death are ultimately empty and illusory. In reality, there is no one to be saved, no one to be lost. All is ultimately one, and the cycle of suffering and rebirth is simply a dream from which we will one day awaken. In this sense, the burning house metaphor serves as a powerful reminder of the true nature of our existence. We are all caught in the flames of samsara, but we have the power to awaken from our delusions and recognize the ultimate truth of emptiness. And when we do, we will realize that there was never anyone to be saved, and that the burning house was just a passing dream. Before we conclude, I would like to introduce myself to you. Hey. My name is Daniel, I am from Germany, thanks for listening to this lecture. Since the content of this video can be difficult to grasp at times, I've taken an unconventional approach. I've designed the video so that it can also be used as a printable document. This means that you can access and use it offline, or even print out selected pages. With this option, you can use your favorite pen to highlight, add to, or modify the text as you see fit. What are your thoughts on Wu Wei, the art of effortless action? Please be so kind and share your wisdom with us. I am not sure when my next Zen art piece will arrive, but I know it will come eventually. It may not interest many people, but I will create it regardless. Obtaining the right paper for my Zen art required a lot of effort, including working with mushrooms. However, the time I spend with mushrooms is minimal compared to the time I devote to Zen. Before we end, I would like to offer my empty bowl to you. I did put a lot of work into this lecture series. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe you want to consider to buy me a coffee? I do mention this unintentionally. There is a serious reason behind it. That is why I ask. Balance is present in all aspects of life, such as summer and winter, day and night, hot and cold, and more. Taking and giving is also a polarity that requires balance. Only when there is balance can we achieve true happiness and harmony. Therefore, if you take something, such as information from the internet, it is important to give something back. Take a moment to assess if your life is in balance. If you feel inclined, you can show your support by making a donation, and I would be grateful for it. However, there are many other worthwhile projects that you can support, such as Wikipedia. Support doesn't have to be monetary either, it can be as simple as sharing a smile or leaving a kind comment. Let's spread joy and love wherever we go. Thank you for spending your time with me. Auf Wiedersehen.